Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Steve Ramona. Business with a servant heart. Listen to the podcast. Steve Ramona. We're all about to talk on life. Our guest will share his life story. We want you to success in life. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk on life. We're gonna talk on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are gonna witness.
Shout out to my sponsors, A Mind for All Seasons. Your brain is your greatest competitive edge, so why not optimize it? Just text OPTIMIZE to 72000, 72000 for instant access to 6 quick videos that help you think faster, remember more, and stay focused longer. A big thanks to Epic App, the 4-step storytelling system I use every day to connect and to convert. Try it free. Email me at stever1961@gmail.com. That's stever1961@gmail.com, and I'll get you the free app. Doing Business with a Servant's Heart was just named top 6 in small business marketing. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your super excited host, Steve Ramona, because my guest, we spent 5, 8, I don't know how many minutes, seemed like an hour talking, laughing, learning, growing. Talk about, you guys are in a treat. We're going to get a treat today. I can't even speak because you know what? Energy is so important, but life is, and she's going to share some things with you that is going to blow you away. But get your pad and paper ready. I want you to take notes. I've already got notes. I haven't even launched the show yet. So let's get this started. Marcia, welcome to the show.
Oh, Steve, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here and really adore your presentation, your energy, and I'm honored to be on your show.
Thank you so much. And I don't ask this a lot, but I really want to know, what's your definition of a servant's heart?
My definition of a servant's heart is to be there for others. Because when you're there for others, God blesses you and then takes care of you along the way.
That is beautiful. You're a simple, let me say this correctly. You sound like you take the complex and make it simple. Is that some of your superpower?
Oh, I think that is a superpower of mine. You know, I have been with some remarkable transformational trainers and mentored by some of the icons of the personal development industry. And I've been in many, 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 many thousands and thousands of seminars since I was a pioneer of the human potential movement and started at the very beginning and helped create the self-help industry. So I have seen the best of the best, but a lot of times it's so complicated and technical and confusing. And one of the gifts that you have noted, and it's nice that you did note that and noticed it, is that I can take that and make it simple for people so they can actually apply it in their lives. Yeah. And that has been one of the reasons I've been so successful. I've now trained over 300,000 people around the globe myself personally.
300,000 people you've trained?
Yeah.
Okay. That's amazing.
It is amazing. I don't know if you know all about my history, but I was one of the original founding members of an organization called Erhard Seminars Training, or EST, which is now Landmark Forum. And I was the senior vice president and was in the very first seminar that Werner Erhard ever led. There were about 30 of us in February of 1971. Now I'm telling you my age. And then I helped take that organization to millions of graduates around the world. So I really am a pioneer of the self-help industry.
That's beautiful. Well, let me ask you, this is personal. I'm sure some of the audience might be interested. Meeting the Tony Robbins, whoever you've met in person, in a room, how did that feel? And how was the interaction when you met with them?
Oh my goodness. Like I actually consulted Tony Robbins for a few years and helped take him national and ran his organization in the mid 80s and helped him launch his book, Unlimited Power. So, and I've been with Jack Canfield. I co-created the Transformational Leadership Council with Jack Canfield. I've really been with all of the great leaders. Buckminster Fuller was one of my personal mentors. Jerry Weintraub in Hollywood taught me how to make movies. So I've had some of the great, great, great thinkers of the world and been there watching along the way, not just watching, but helping to create and being a really key architect of the movement and the industry. And actually, I've just written a book called Sex, Power, and Transformation, and it's the inside story of this, of the rise of the self-help industry, or the self-help empire, I call it. And one of the things that I noted in the book was you have to be careful, because when people present themselves and they're stars and they're very charismatic gurus, there's a tendency that you give up your own answer for yourself and just go along blindly doing what somebody else is telling you. And so you have to be very courageous enough to take in the wisdom, process it for your own life and your own values, and consider which part of it that you want to live with and by, and throw out the other part. Don't just take it because somebody's charismatic and they tell you. And I have seen more than one charismatic leader get affected by fame and power and money, and almost like power is addictive, and then start telling others what the answer is they have for those people, rather than creating a space for the other people to find their own answer. So I've seen it all, the ugly, the light, the dark, the good and the bad.
Fortunately, life's that way, and that's going to happen. And I love that you said that, because that's a servant's heart. Not saying go with this person, that person, this person, because I told you so. It's got to resonate with you. It's got to be passionate to you, that person, whoever it's Robbins, Canfield, Wayne Dyer, or, across the board, all the personal development. Because there's a lot of noise out there in personal development, isn't there? And people get lost.
Well, I think they get lost when they forget that the wisdom itself has come down through many thousands of years from many great masters and teachers. And yet each of the transformational leaders seem to want to control that and say, it's mine, and kind of consider as if I made it up, I started it, and then get very protective of it, and then start preaching in the worst sense, not in the best sense, rather than ministering to people or opening space for people to find the truth for themselves. So as in all industries and as in all occupations, there's challenges and pitfalls, and you got to watch out. Transformation and human development and personal power is not for the faint of heart.
Yeah. Your doctor, your dentist, your mechanic, they're all to each. We have life, we have freedom to make that decision, but you're telling them, make it an informed decision. Just don't go one way because 20 people said go that way.
Exactly.
That's interesting. That's a powerful message. I appreciate you mentioning that, because that's really good. Servant leadership out there a lot, but you talk about transformational leadership, which I think is what happens when you're a servant leader. But you correct me if I'm wrong. Tell us more about that.
Well, when I was a young girl and we started EST, which became Landmark Forum, the purpose of the training was to transform the way in which you experienced life, so that the situations that you were dealing with cleared up just in the process of living itself. So I would say that purpose, and then all of these hands would go up. And we started with, 10 people in a little house. I would be in the bedroom sitting on the dresser, and the guests would be on the bed, and I would lead the guest seminar. Werner would be in the living room on the floor with the graduates doing the advanced trainings. And then we went to hotels, and then we went to auditoriums. So, by the first couple of years, there were thousands of people raising their hands and saying, but Marcia, what does transformation mean? Because it wasn't a buzzword then. It wasn't even something that people understood. It was a new kind of way of looking at something. And I remember Werner told me, he says, oh, transformation, because I asked him, what does transformation mean? I need to answer this. And he said, it's kind of like when the caterpillar becomes a butterfly. And so I was a young in my early 20s, woman on a stage, kind of dancing around, thinking, okay, the answer to this is, and I would say, it's like when a caterpillar becomes a butterfly. Well, it took many years for me to discover that that process of transformation is not pretty. It's very dangerous. It's not that a caterpillar's eyes turn into a butterfly's eyes. The caterpillar breaks down into a soup, goes back to its primal kind of existence of DNA-ness, and then reconstitutes itself into a new species. And it's interesting because the caterpillar adds nothing to life. All it does is eat, really. There's no caterpillar coats and there's no caterpillar food. So it's not like it contributes much.
Yeah.
But the butterfly, we can't get along. Without the butterfly and the honeybee, there would be no humanity. So you go from something that produces and contributes nothing to something that really causes the survival of humanity. That's transformation. And I look at it now when I work with people because I'm a trainer, I'm a coach. I go into corporations and I train senior executives in leadership and communication mastery and how to be a team and how to create an organization and how to start a business and all of those things. But what really I'm teaching them is how to let go of their old beliefs and their old mindsets, which keep them in their caterpillar self and really
Ah.
reform themselves into a new species or a new effectiveness of being able to contribute at a higher level in life. So I'm still in the transformation business.
So don't stay in the soup. That
That's right.
caterpillar is soup. I'm not making fun. I'm making a little bit of fun, but that's what I'm thinking is get out of
Yeah.
that soup, become the butterfly.
Yeah. And it's so hard for people to get out of the soup because we're
Yeah.
so attached to our beliefs and our mindset and what we think is right and what we've been told. And we forget that when we were babies and little munchkins running around 2, 3, and 4, we're taking in all this information in a brain state that is actually the same brain state of hypnosis.
Yeah.
You know, it takes a while for your brain to develop to the place where it's really a conscious state. So all of that input that's going in is going in at a very deep level. And then people forget that, well, wait a minute, maybe I didn't have the one mom and the one dad that had all the answers.
Yeah.
Maybe there's other possibilities. So it's a journey becoming an effective human being.
Such a beautiful message on transformation. Again, you go back to the simplicity and honest. If you don't get it, reach out to me. I'll explain it to you in 30 seconds. Because if I can get it, all you out there can get it. Kind of half kidding, but seriously, that just really helps because I mentor and you just gave me resource to mentor. That's why I love podcasting. You guys
Ah,
get to teach me as well.
that's
You're a
wonderful.
smart lady, and I think part of that's because you have worked with 300,000 people. Am I correct on that?
I've personally trained over 300,000 people in leadership, communication, personal power, seminars, workshops, trainings myself. I've built organizations that have, like, for example, Landmark was previously known as EST, is now 3.5 million graduates
Huge.
strong. And when I started building that organization, we had 30 of us in the first seminar. So I've trained a lot of people. I've seen a lot. I've experienced a lot in terms of growing people and growing businesses. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's been my work. You know, one of the things that people don't really know about me is before I met Werner Erhard, which was a key person in my life, as was Buckminster Fuller and Warren Bennis and Peter Drucker and Jerry Weintraub, some of the greatest thinkers of our time were my personal mentors and teachers. And I'm just pleased to have said I've been a protege of those men. But before that, my aunt, when I was just in my late teens, I found out was, and she was a distant cousin, wasn't really an aunt, but we called her Aunt Gladys. And she was a shaman and a clairvoyant healer and an esoteric astrologist. And back then, those were kinds of things you didn't tell people that you were learning. So it was all a secret. But she said I was a light worker and that my destiny was to teach people how to love. And because I was so young, it sounded good to me. I'm a hippie. I was one of those hippies in San Francisco in the early 70s. smoking marijuana and sitting in Golden Gate Park with my hat, my leather hat out, collecting change. And then, of course, every time I would see someone that I looked like I thought needed the money more than I did, I would give them my money. So I'm a hippie at heart. I'm a peace child at heart. And my aunt taught me how to heal, and she taught me how to meditate, and she taught me about the energies of the world and metaphysics. And so I learned about my chakras and energy points and how to still my mind and how to manage my mind and my thoughts and how to create beliefs and how to manifest and create things in the world, how manifestation happened. So at an early age, I was given many secrets and I kind of lived life backwards. I think most people live life and have breakdowns and terrible
Mhm.
things happen. And as a result, they go to a place where they begin to look at and consider and question what's really true and what they need. And they have breakthroughs and they have an awakening. Well, I had an awakening before anything really bad happened to me, except for my childhood. I had kind of a abusive father, not physically, but emotionally.
Yeah.
And he was a drinker and drank a lot of alcohol. So I saw some things when I was young that weren't really pleasant. But other than that, I learned about the secrets of life before life happened for me. And so what happened was I was able to take the journey that we all are on, which comes with lots of pain and lots of heartache sometimes, but many successes and fun and joy also, just like any other human being. I've been divorced and that was hard. I've had a child, a stepchild that committed suicide. I've lost all the money I ever had in a moment when I created a new media company years and years ago. And so on the other side of it, I've been famous. I've spoken in front of 20,000 people. I've made lots of money. I've been, so both the good and the bad, as you would call it, happened after I had those secrets. And so how I feel is my gift is I've been able to look at life as a gift, no matter what the kind of experience that the universe throws at me, and be able to welcome it. And that's part of the secret is to be in present time with what's happening rather than wishing you were someplace else or rather than saying this shouldn't be, because shouldn't be doesn't even exist. Only what exists is what is. And if you can't confront what is and be with it and go through it, then you're never going to get to the next point. And so I kind of had that basis of how to handle life before life happened. And I think that was part of what keeps me young.
All I'm going to say is, wow. I mean, there's some we don't have enough time to unpack everything, and we're going to bring her back for a sequel. I've
Oh,
already going to. I
yay.
mean, asked her, and of course she's going to say yes, which I kind of surprised because what you're saying is you're taking your experiences, good and bad. And it seems like every successful people has had that. They've lost everything, had everything, and came back and now have everything or done it
Yeah.
multiple times. And if your failures are a lot less than yours and become successful, that's even better. But you can flatten that curve. So that, especially for women, businesswomen,
Yes.
business women, I always say
Yes.
huge for what you could do.
Yes, and Steve, my book, Sex, Power, and Transformation, is not just my story of how the self-help industry came into existence, because I was there on the front lines of helping create it and being a key architect of it. But it's the story of a young girl who grows into womanhood in a man's world. And it's a story of a powerful woman because I've always had power, dealing with men with power, not necessarily powerful men, although I've dealt with them too. And really finding and seeing things that needed to be seen in order to be a full human being: betrayal, deceit, heartbreak, loss, and how to deal with them to move forward rather than shrinking. And it's a magical story. And it's an uplifting story. And it's also the story of rebirth and redemption and resilience and the strength of the human spirit. So I hope your readers read my book. It's available on Amazon and it is a magical book.
Well, you're giving people hope. You've given me hope. And it's interesting. I'm doing well, things are good, but people forget, when I'm doing well, think, hope and faith, that's okay. It's no, that's when you want to have hope and faith, because something will happen.
Yes.
And the hope and faith gets you through to transform you past those obstacles. So thank you for doing that. I'm sure people in the audience have done that. I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to do it. I don't ask women their age, but can you tell us the story when you went and saw the doctor? I think it's just a fabulous story.
Well, I will tell you my age because I'm proud of how I've handled my body, my mind, my emotions. And I think that a body is something that you have for 100 years and then it should fall apart. And what happens to most human beings, it starts falling apart around 17 and it gets
Yeah.
worse after that. So, I have fed it well. I have nurtured it. I have trained my mind. I have been meditating since I was 12 years old. And in January of this next month, I'm going to be 79 years old. And I was telling Steve this story about I needed to go into the hospital to get a checkup on something. And I was checking in at the desk and I gave her my information. And she says, "Oh, I don't have you in the computer. We'll have to start over and fill out some forms." And I said, "No, I'm sure I'm in the computer. Look again, Marsha Martin, because I was just here last month and they found me." And she said, "Well, the only Marsha Martin I have was born in 1947." And I said, "That's me." And the woman fell off her chair. So yeah, I'm looking good.
Wow.
It's good.
Well, and I want you to tell this story selfishly a little bit. I want people to hear it, but two, because you've been serving all these years, and I speak
Mm,
from the mountaintops about that. When you have a servant's heart like this podcast, your health can be great,
yes.
because when you're putting good out, good comes back in, and that's what seems to happen to you, right?
I think so. And I think that consciousness expands.
Consciousness, yeah.
And I think that one of the places I've been that my consciousness has expanded to, I think that it starts off with people kind of thinking they're at the effect or being a victim. And we look at life as if it's kind of working on us and we're at the effect of it. And something happens when you're in that state of consciousness where you have breakdowns, and eventually you wake up and you grab for your will because you just say, "I'm going to do this," or "this isn't going to happen again," or something like that. And then you expand into a greater consciousness where you're not at the effect anymore, but you're still in that state of consciousness about me, 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 me. And you go out and you can now create, and you're not a victim, but you're creating houses and cars and relationships and money and everything for me. And then there's something that happens where you get to a place where you say, "Is that all there is?" And in that moment, you look for something that's of a higher purpose. In that state of consciousness, you realize that there's something more to who you are, and you look for a higher purpose. And then I think what happens, and really happened to me at a very early age, is when you are operating from that place of being a higher purpose, a contribution to a greater thing, a way to cause good, to make this a better world, where you have that as something that guides you and motivates you, the universe notices. And when the universe sees you, I think the universe and whatever you call God and whatever your higher power and divine joy is, that universe says, "This is someone we need." And the universe starts guiding you and using you as an instrument to do the work that the universe needs done. And I think that's what happened to me. I feel I've been used by a higher power for the things that I do and with my gifts because it works. When people are around me, they wake up, they get better, they get healthier, they get happier, they get stronger. And not because I give them something of me, because I allow them to see what's so about them. And when they find that and they can actually get in touch with their own personal power and where it comes from and connect it and be aligned with that source and that flow of energy, then they're able to contribute too. So I think my job in the universe is to duplicate myself and just keep giving my wisdom away.
That's what a true servant leader does, duplicates themselves. Because Jesus worked with 10 or 12 apostles, always get that
Yes.
number wrong. He taught the millions, but he had 10 or 12 apostles get the message out. and you're doing it. Well, I'm not going to call you G, but you're taking your ambassadors and helping them spread it, because you couldn't meet 300,000 people yourself. You had to have ambassadors, and it's beautiful message to end with. Let's end with an improv. I love to have fun at the end.
Okay.
So I'm gonna reserve a restaurant at a table near you, one of your favorite restaurants. Don't have to name it. I mean, you're gonna sit at the table, but I want you to invite 3 people that have been influential in your life. That's gonna be hard for you, but 3, and if you gotta do 4, I'll let you do 4 because it's your table. But the more important second question is, Marcia, what food are we eating?
Oh, we're eating vegetables.
There we go. Thought that would be easy for you.
We're eating really good, clean, alive food. And I eat mostly fish when I have a protein, but I love vegetables. I've loved vegetables. My father used to call me a rabbit. He was always upset that I didn't want to eat the steaks that he brought home. My people, I think I would bring into dinner would be Buckminster Fuller, one of the great wise men that was one of my greatest teachers. I would bring Jesus in because Jesus has always been, and I had a very special spiritual um, experience that I put in my book about a man I met in a dream. And I was able to look through his eyes, and I don't think I could say it was anyone except Jesus because he had the most beautiful crystal blue eyes. And he was in front of millions of people, and I somehow found myself looking through his eyes out at the people. And I saw all of these millions of people, but they were angry and they were fighting with each other. And they were just non-appreciative of each other. And what was so extraordinary about this experience, and it really changed me from that moment of how I am with people, is I felt and saw and knew he was loving them no matter what. Whatever this being was that I had the opportunity. So I've always just said, okay, I think it was Jesus. And so
Yeah.
I'd invite Jesus. And I would invite Jerry Weintraub, who is one of the greatest producers of all time in Hollywood. He was the producer of The Karate Kid, all the Ocean's movies. I got to meet Brad Pitt and George Clooney through him, which was
Wow.
really
Yeah,
exciting.
that's cool.
Yeah, and he was a mentor of mine, and I just loved him. I always thought he was like the godfather of Hollywood. He always used to say, "Sweetheart, I'm going to teach you how to make movies." I go, "Okay." Um, and I think, let's see, I think the fourth one would be I would want a child to come to dinner that needed to be with me and those people.
Yeah, beautiful. I'd be honored to be at that table. Oh my gosh. And I need to eat more vegetables. So I would definitely be at that table because I do love my little broccoli. So I'd be all over that.
Mm.
Marcia, thank you so much for taking the time, blessing me in the audience, and being just so transparent and open. I know people want to reach out to you. How can they find you?
MarshaMartin.com. So go to my website. You can get my book there, or you can go to Amazon and get my book, Sex, Power, and Transformation. And you can also sign up for my club on my website, the Marsha Martin Membership Club. And it's a digital library of past videos of live workshops and seminars and trainings and speaking engagements I've done. And it's pennies. So it's a good investment.
I'm not surprised it's pennies. Well, you've inspired me. I'm going to do something. I've been starting to do a little bit when people inspire me. Audience, the first 5 people that you reach out to Marcia, just reach out to her. And when you do, you mention you saw her on this podcast. I will send all 5 of you her book on
Oh,
me.
wow. Wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's okay with you?
Yes, that's
Absolutely.
fabulous.
I want to do that because we're in a world where noise is everywhere. And if
Yeah.
it's the right noise, like your book, it could make it a life impact. And I love doing it. I just sent a couple books out last week from another podcast. So reach out to her, mention the podcast. She'll reach out to me and we'll get connected, and I'll get your contact information, address, and go to Amazon and send you the book. So with that being said, thank you again. And
God bless.
audience, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I mean, you're listening to this. If it resonates with you, share it with others. It's the gift of life. And people are like, oh, Steve, how can you? Well, if somebody listens to this and they're down and out right now and it impacts them, did you bring their life back? Yeah, it's life changing. And it's not my podcast. It could be Marcia's, could be somebody else's. Just use these as gifts to transform and bring people out of the muck that they're in. We'll call the caterpillar soup. That's my new phrase, to get them out of the caterpillar soup. With that being said, me and Marcia want to thank all of you for watching or listening to this podcast. And we'll see you all in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everybody. Merry Christmas.